We're talking about anger and how it can cause us to have weight issues. I don't think any of us should suppress our feelings. I don't think we should displace our feelings. And I've been practicing this in my mind. I'm sorry, what has happened here is extremely disturbing. It's very upsetting. I'd like to talk about it and see what we can do to rectify this problem. Because right now I'm sensing that I'm getting angry and I don't want to. I've been practicing, saying calming, wonderful things like that. I'm a little surprised about what's happened. I need time to process it so I don't get angry. I'm going to call you in an hour, so can we talk about it then? I tend to be like one of these things where Vincent didn't tell the person that he didn't need a ride for the carpool. He had a ride with someone else for band. So Friday night's their big show, and the mother emailed me. You know, Ellen, I'd appreciate it if Vincent would let us know and doesn't need a ride because I see it in the driveway. I was tooting the horn. I was at work. I wasn't home. So we get to the show and everything, and I'm saying to myself, I'm not going to say anything about the ride till later. I'm not going to say anything right now. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till after the show. I'm going to wait. I'm not going to say anything. Vince walks up. Why didn't you call Mrs. Andrews? Why didn't you tell her? She had sent me an email. And I'm thinking, I was outside myself, talking to myself. I thought you were going to wait. I thought you weren't going to say anything. I was talking to myself. Why are you doing this? This is what I mean. I'm 58. I need to train myself. I need to say, I can wait. And that is very stressful when you don't wait, because then you beat yourself up. Then I sat there the rest of the night saying, you should have waited, you should have waited. And then he's standing there thinking, well, you know, now I got to go and perform. And then I felt guilty, like, oh, now he's going to perform, and I yelled at him, and I should have waited. And it's just better for everyone if I would just wait. And I'm working on it. That's what I mean about timing. Don't avoid it, deal with it, but at the proper time. I want to read this aloud. And I want to tattoo it someplace on my body. Life will always be filled with frustration, pain, loss, and the unpredictable actions of others. You can't change that, but you can change the way you let such events affect you. Controlling your angry response can keep them from making you even more unhappy in the long run. I can't honestly say that I've ever screamed and yelled and at the end said, oh, that was great. That was productive. I'm really glad that happened. At the end, when I'm done, I'm like, oh, why did you do that? You're a better person than this. Think about it, and it's just like losing weight's a work, anger's a work. Real quick, there was a study that said if you could secretly push a button and eliminate any person that you don't like in your life with no repercussions to yourself, would you press that button? 69% of males and 56% of women, representing tens of millions of people who are now going to be dead. Their bosses, their coworkers, their spouses, their family members. They said they would push that button. 69 and 56. Now, I wouldn't push it. Right now, I wouldn't push it because I'm rational. I'm a pray it off. I'm in church. But there have been moments where I've been like at the end of my rope when someone said, there's that button, Ellen, no repercussions to you. I think it would have been like, We need to really deal with that. And here's the biggest thing I want to say tonight. Depression goes, the old saying is anger turned inward. And that's big. Because remember, I shared with this group that for years and years and years, I thought I was depressed. I thought I was depressed. You know, I weigh 370, I'm depressed. I'm depressed. And it's funny, 4.5 years later, why aren't I depressed? I thought it was a part of who I was. You know, I thought that's what I had to deal with. Is it because I've lost weight? I think it's because my self-hating anger isn't as bad as it was. I am trying to have some success. I'm not constantly beating myself up going, you failure, you miserable, losing failure. So that anger, that terrible disappointment and anger that I have at myself isn't as great, isn't as big, and therefore my depression isn't as I don't have any at all. So, one of the things that the Buddhists say is that thoughts only acquire force when we attach ourselves to these thoughts. Since our inflated egos are our own worst enemies, we need to empty ourselves and fill ourselves with infinite compassion, even for the people we attribute our anger to. You know, someone who was very rude and terrible to me one day, you know, I found out about her life, and it was just so many terrible things. We ended up being good friends. But I have to empty myself of my ego and say, they're perhaps reacting that way to me because of their whole history. I have to attach my own reactions because I can't change other people. We need to be mindful and Christ-like. And that's another thing. Just like sometimes we don't think about praying up, we just eat whatever we want. When we're angry, do we imagine that Christ is standing right by us? Do we even think about Christ? Do we think about his sacrifice? Do we think about what life really means? Or do we go into the state where it's all about our woundedness, our how dare that happen? That's one of the things. If I remember that Christ is next to me, that's what I can't forget. And then I like how this, you know, avoid what makes you mad. If it makes you mad getting on Onondaga Lake Parkway at 5 o'clock at night, don't get on Onondaga Lake Parkway at 5 o'clock at night. Choose your friends wisely. If you've got a friend who brings you down, say, I'm a little busy tonight, next week. Develop better ways of behaving. I've tried. I failed, but I am trying. And stop the hostile fantasies. Stop imagining the worst, imagining what you'll do, or escalating. Here's another thing. For those people with some drinking issues, if you're angry, the least thing you should do is drink, because that inhibition comes in, and then you'll start saying things and doing things because of that. One of the things, too, is to find an outlet. Go for that walk. Go for that run. Go and get some exercise. Remove yourself. So many people who are chronic complainers, who are just always like, oh, you know, don't get them talking about politics or this or that. There's certain people that you just know to avoid because they bring you down. They're so angry. They're disappointed in life. They're disappointed in themselves. The complaining is just a symptom of their anger. And I am going to stop there, Bob, and come up with one more thing.